What is pronation? So when we talk about pronation, supination at the hand, it's very simple. Pronation is the rotation towards facing down. Supination is the rotation towards facing up. Now the foot is already facing down in a neutral position, but we do keep this rotation. So pronation will be rotation in this direction. Supination will be rotation in this direction. And now what gets a little bit confusing at the foot is there are a few different types of pronation that are described and can occur. And so the first is just the rotation that occurs towards facing down in this direction and even past neutral. This is considered to be pronation, while this is to be considered supination. But the thing that occurs at the foot is the forefoot is going to be in contact with the ground. So what that means is that the rear foot is going to be pronating more relative than the forefoot. And so what happens is the rear foot is everting while the forefoot relatively is inverting. Even though the forefoot seems to be staying still on the ground, relative to the rear foot, the forefoot is actually inverting. And so as these things are happening, forefoot inversion, rear foot eversion, that medial arch is going to lower and lengthen. So this would be pronation, this would be supination. So here's where you start to get that correlation of pronation is going to be a lower arch, supination is going to be a higher arch. So as we move into pronation here, here. And so the other thing that gets talked about quite a bit is pronation as a triplanar movement. And so what pronation as a triplanar movement means is that as you are loading the body's weight going into pronation, there's more than one planar rotation occurring. So we can have dorsiflexion going this direction. We're going to have this pronation, rear foot eversion going this direction. And the third element is that rear foot abduction. So the rear foot's going to be moving away from the midline. And then for supination, the opposite. So supination will be going back into planar flexion. Supination is the rear foot inversion, and then abduction. So those are the basics of pronation, how it's going to occur, what are the different definitions. But as an athlete or coach, is this something you need to worry about? At the end of the day, it's going to come down to how's your mobility, how's your stability, and how do you load and transition into propulsion. And so one thing to keep in mind is that standing, walking, jogging, sprinting, even the acceleration versus the top speed phases of sprinting are all going to look very different when it comes to the loading and propulsion of the foot.